In the previous episode, we came to Washington, D.C., saw the Jefferson Memorial, the Smithsonian Museum of American History, and met up with longtime viewers Jem and Paula. Today, we continue exploring our nation's capital. We'll go back to Tidal Basin and finally reenact my mom's picture from 1958. We'll see the FDR Memorial, the Cherry Blossom Festival, Martin Luther King Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, the White House, Arlington National Cemetery, and we'll even have dinner with our friend Seth. Yes, the second day of our cherry blossom adventures in D.C. is next. I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah. We've been staying at Cherry Hill Park in Maryland. According to them, they are the closest RV park to Washington, D.C. And they even have a shuttle twice a day and access to public transportation, but we're just gonna drive. We're gonna park by the same spot we parked yesterday, parking lot A by the Cuban Friendship Urn. Here we are once again at Tidal Basin, and this time we're gonna walk at least halfway around it to the Martin Luther King Memorial, and it is such a beautiful day. Definitely sunnier than yesterday. It looks like some of the flowers are starting to wither, so we made it in the nick of time.
There they go. And we're back. We're back at Tidal Basin here, Washington, D.C., day 2. It is still cold, don't get me wrong, but it's much less colder and a little less windy and sunnier. Back there, of course, the Jefferson Memorial one more time. And here's Mom. Now what we're going to do, we're going to walk around Tidal Basin here and maybe find the spot where she took that picture back in 1958. So we're going to do that right now.
Very happy here in the Cherry Blossom Festival.
Tidal Basin is an artificial lake designed to harness the power of the tides in the Potomac River to flush silt and sediment from the Washington Channel. This time of the year, as it is expected, very touristy, as many people come to admire and take pictures of the unique scenery created by the cherry blossoms. Here we have the Japanese pagoda, presented to the city of Washington by the mayor of Yokohama in 1957. Coming up next, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial.
Just in case.
I think this is one of the lesser-known memorials in Washington, but it is very well made. A president that assumed the presidency during the worst part of the Great Depression and presided through the recovery and then World War II. It is hard to understate that legacy. Next, we're going to pay a visit to Martin Luther King Jr. It is a uniquely beautiful walk around the basin. And here's where they're holding the annual Cherry Blossom Festival.
I want to take a break and tell you about our sponsor for this episode, Surfshark VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network. And what it does, it creates a secure private connection between your devices, multiple devices. You can do it on your computer, on your smartphone, even your TV. It creates a secure connection between your devices and the internet. And whenever possible, I try to use my own hotspots because, I know it's secure. But sometimes, you go to a restaurant, for example, and some of these places are like Faraday cages. There's no signal whatsoever. And they want you to scan a QR code to see the menu. And they tell, oh, we have a Wi-Fi. But you don't know, but that Wi-Fi could be insecure. Sometimes the password is restaurant123. And someone could have hacked that and be eavesdropping on that connection, steal your passwords, your information. You don't want that to happen. So it is always good to have a VPN. And it is very simple. It's just an app on your phone and you hit quick connect and that's it. And within seconds, your connection is secure. And it has other features. You can teleport yourself virtually to a different country. If you disconnect them, for example, let's say some content is blocked in the country you're in. Okay, let's just go to Argentina, for example. And within seconds, as far as the internet is concerned, you're in Argentina. Now, I have a special offer for you. If you want to keep your internet secure, just go to surfshark.deal/MyRV. And you enter promo code MyRV at checkout, and you get 83% off and 3 months for free. Now back to Washington. The National Cherry Blossom Festival. We have some food trucks. Lunch with live entertainment. Well, we were finally able to sort of replicate that picture from 1958 from my mom's. And not at the exact same spot, but very similar.
Now walking towards the Martin Luther King Memorial, which was dedicated August 28, 2011, here at West Potomac Park, at 1964 Independence Avenue Southwest. Its address referencing the year the Civil Rights Act of 1964 became law. Chinese artist Master Lei Yixing became the official sculptor in 2007. The sculpture and the mountain are composed of 159 granite blocks that were transported to Master Lei's studio in China, where he assembled and sculpted 80% of it. It was then disassembled and transported by ship to Baltimore and reassembled at the memorial. Master Lei completed the last 20% of the sculpting on site, right here in Washington, D.C. As I mentioned, the idea was to walk all the way around the basin, but it is cold and Mom's tired, so this is where we're gonna stop and go visit another iconic memorial.
Here we are back at the Martin Luther King Memorial right here, and let's see if we can do one final stop at the Lincoln Memorial. I don't know if we're gonna have time for that, but we're gonna try. Such a gorgeous day.
Here's the Korean War Veterans Memorial, apparently undergoing renovations. And there it is, the iconic Lincoln Memorial. That's where we're going next. This has got to be, hands down, one of the most iconic views of Washington, D.C. The Washington Memorial, with the Capitol building peeking from behind. And there he is, Abe, the one we all like. One of these days, we'll make it back up there, like we did back in 1994. Ah, come on, indulge me. Let's see some pictures from 1994.
Well, this is probably going to be one of our last points of interest here on this particular trip, but we've made it to probably one of the most iconic places here in Washington, D.C., and that would be the Lincoln Memorial. Now we're going to go up the steps and, and say hello to our friend Abe up there. What a beautiful view of the Washington Monument, the reflecting pool back there. It's amazing. Don't you hate it when your battery dies in the middle of a long, immersive shot? It did. We continue here on our last steps. Going into the Lincoln Memorial.
Hi.
Batman's here, guys.
I got him, please. There we go. Can we take a photo of it, but down here?
Yeah. Well, here, can we get a high five real quick? Yeah. Good work. Let's go. Is your screensaver the Riddler?
Let's walk around the memorial here real quick so I can show you the backside, which is back there. And I believe we will be able to see Arlington National Cemetery from back there. And, all the crowds are there in the front, but very few people actually come back here and see the other side. The other side of the Lincoln Memorial, which right now we're bathed. Look at that, there's nobody back here. And we have all these Doric columns here. As actually you can't see the cemetery. No, I'm losing my voice. It's still very cold, but not as cold as it was earlier. But that's the bridge that goes onto Maryland, and there will be Arlington National Cemetery back there in the back. And I think this, as I said, this is probably the last thing we're gonna see here in Washington. Now we're gonna start heading back. Maybe we'll do something else later. But right now we need to take a break and regroup and warm up.
Let's see if we can see the White House. And there it is, kind of, sort of, behind the trees. Let's go around. Yeah, something always going on in this town. That's Lafayette Square here on the right. There, that's a much better view. Now let's try and see if we can find parking.
Saratoga.
Here we are, once again, Lafayette Square. And there's the Andrew Jackson statue. And behind it, the Washington Monument. And in between them, what's probably the most secure building in the world, the White House. Here's Andrew Jackson from the other side. Let's take a closer look. There are some scopes on the roof, the portico on the northern facade. And there's some kind of protest going on, as I imagine is usually the case. The Secret Service, perhaps? Let's continue. And it is getting to that time of the day, rush hour, and it is kind of late, which means we're only gonna have a few minutes to see it, but I wanna go to Arlington National Cemetery.
Well, here we are, Arlington National Cemetery, and we arrived kind of late, so we're not gonna be able to see much, but I just wanted to see this place. This is my fourth time in Washington, D.C., and I had never seen this, so I wanted to. We're gonna try to go all the way to John F. Kennedy's gravestone. This really was all we had time for today, but we will return, see, all the other graves, and take another moment to reflect on this special place here. And I think this is it for our time here in DC. I don't know if we're gonna stop by Georgetown, or we're just gonna go back to the RV park. I'll have to check with Mom. And this one is called The Press of Freedom.
We've decided to drive around a little bit before heading back to Cherry Hill Park, get to know the parts of the city we haven't been to, and revisit some we have. First, let's drive by Rosslyn. It is very urban. Many skyscrapers, and I know this is the type of city my mom likes. Next, we're going to drive across the Potomac River onto Georgetown, and we were here ever so briefly back in 2012. In fact, we had Christmas Eve dinner at a restaurant here, and I remember the city having a very special character. By the way, check out this building here on the right. That is the Ukrainian Embassy. And for context, this was filmed in late March 2022, only about a month into the Russo-Ukrainian War. Our friend Seth noticed we were here in DC, through Instagram probably. So he texted me to see if we wanted to meet up, and I can't think of a better way to end our time here in the capital. So we're going to meet at this Irish pub called the Dublinier. It is supposed to be very iconic. And the watering hole of choice for many politicians, it being in close proximity to the capital. This is, by the way, K Street. I guess we stumbled upon Chinatown. Over the years, I have become a little bit less of a city person, but DC, I think, deserves a more in-depth visit. Not just the museums and monuments, but the actual city, where people live and work and eat.
Okay, here we are with Mom and with Seth. Hey Seth, great seeing you again, man. So let's dig in, yeah. That's a jumbo potato.
Always fun to spend time with friends and catch up. And with that, we're going to say goodbye for now to our nation's capital. Although, I have a feeling we'll be back sooner than later. Because, don't you know, I'm from the future. Tomorrow we're going someplace else. We're going to the mountains. And we're gonna spend some time at Natural Bridge, Virginia. We're going to visit the state park, make a day trip to Jefferson's Monticello, and drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway before heading back south. But more about that on the next episode. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and see you on the road. The Baltimore-Washington Parkway in this case. Enjoy the ride. wherever I want to be. And 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah, I'm riding, riding, riding. I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be. 'Cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah.